June 30th, 1908. Deep in the desolate Siberian wilderness, a day that should have been like any other began with an ominous stillness. Then, just past dawn, the sky ignited. Witnesses described a fireball streaking across the heavens, brighter than the sun, leaving a blinding trail in its wake. Moments later, an explosion ripped through the air, so powerful that it leveled 800 square miles of forest. The shock wave shattered windows hundreds of miles away. The sound was deafening, described as cannon fire that never seemed to end. But here's where things get strange. There was no crater, no impact debris, no meteor fragments to collect, no evidence of a conventional explosion. The area at the epicenter wasn't scorched like you'd expect from fire, yet the heat was intense enough to char wood and ignite massive wildfires. For weeks, the skies across Europe glowed unnaturally, a haunting illumination that baffled scientists and terrified citizens. So, what really happened that day? The official story? A meteoroid exploded in the atmosphere. A natural event, they say. But doesn't it seem convenient that the evidence doesn't quite add up? No one has ever definitively proven this theory, yet it remains the accepted explanation. Why? Could there be something they don't want us to uncover? Something too dangerous or too revolutionary to bring to light? Let's consider the possibilities. What if the Tunguska explosion wasn't natural at all? Some believe it was the result of alien intervention, an extraterrestrial spacecraft malfunctioning or perhaps firing a warning shot. Evidence suggests there were UFO sightings reported across Siberia in the weeks leading up to the explosion. Was this just coincidence, or did something arrive from beyond our world only to leave devastation in its wake? And why does the epicenter exhibit lingering magnetic anomalies that scientists have struggled to explain even a century later? And then there's Nikola Tesla. The genius inventor claimed to have developed technology capable of transmitting energy wirelessly across great distances. In 1908, Tesla was experimenting with his Wardenclyffe Tower, a device so advanced it seemed to border on the supernatural. Could Tesla have accidentally or intentionally triggered an explosion thousands of miles away? His writings speak of a death ray, capable of focusing energy with destructive precision. Was the Tunguska event the unintended result of a technology too dangerous for its time, or for ours? But perhaps it wasn't human hands or alien minds at work that day. Some suggest that the Tunguska explosion was the result of a rupture in the fabric of reality itself, a portal, a rift, a brief collision between our dimension and another. Local folklore from the region speaks of Agdi, a fire god, descending from the heavens in anger. Could these ancient myths be echoes of some deeper truth? Did we witness an event that defies the boundaries of our understanding, a breach between worlds that science cannot yet explain? Theories like these are often dismissed as fantasy, but let me ask you this: why are there still no definitive answers? Why does this event remain shrouded in mystery, with only fragmented evidence and whispers of cover-ups? Early expeditions to the site were delayed under suspicious circumstances. Some accounts suggest critical findings from the area were lost or suppressed. Is it possible that someone or something doesn't want us to know the truth? What happened in Tunguska is more than just a historical anomaly. It's a riddle that challenges the limits of what we think we know about science, history, and even reality itself. And perhaps, if we can unravel this mystery, it might lead us to revelations about forces, both human and extraterrestrial, that continue to shape our world in ways we can barely comprehend. If the answers lie buried in the charred soil of Siberia, what else might they reveal? Secrets that could upend everything we've been told about the universe. Or perhaps secrets we're not ready to face? The morning of June 30th, 1908, began like any other in the remote Tunguska region. The air was crisp, the wilderness silent. Then, just after 7 a.m., the peace shattered. People hundreds of miles away reported seeing a blue-white streak blazing across the sky, growing brighter and larger as it approached. It wasn't the sun. It wasn't a shooting star. Whatever it was, it moved with a terrifying purpose. And then, chaos. A massive explosion tore through the sky, unleashing energy so immense it was said to be 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Witnesses described a flash of light that seemed to split the heavens, followed by a shockwave that knocked people to the ground and shattered windows hundreds of miles away. The heat was so intense, it singed clothing and scorched the earth, yet no flames consumed the trees. The explosion was felt as far away as England, where seismic instruments registered its force. A villager in Vanavara, over 40 miles from the epicenter, recalled being thrown to the ground by the blast. He described the sky splitting open and an unbearable heat that seemed to pour from the heavens. Another eyewitness claimed, "The air itself seemed to burn. It felt like the world was ending." People closer to the blast described a deafening roar, like thousands of cannons firing in unison. But it wasn't just the sounds or the sights that terrified the locals, it was what came next. For weeks the skies glowed at night, casting an eerie silver light over Europe and parts of Asia. Newspapers reported that people could read their mail outdoors at midnight without a lamp. Scientists speculated that fine particles in the atmosphere reflected sunlight. But where had these particles come from? No one could say for sure. The devastation on the ground was just as baffling. The forest had been flattened in a radial pattern, with trees pointing outward from the epicenter like matchsticks knocked over by an invisible hand. But at the very center, a strange anomaly: trees left standing upright, stripped of their bark and branches. It was as though some unknown force had pushed outward and then stopped, sparing only the epicenter itself. And then there were the animals. Locals reported that wildlife had fled the area days before the explosion, as if sensing an impending disaster. Birds abandoned their nests. Reindeer herds disappeared. Even the domesticated animals grew restless, refusing to eat or settle. How did they know? Was it instinct? Or were they reacting to something far more unusual? An invisible force, a change in the Earth's magnetic field, or something beyond our comprehension? In the years that followed, scientists and explorers flocked to Tunguska, hoping to uncover answers. But the more they studied, the more questions emerged. Magnetic anomalies lingered in the region for decades, as though the very ground had been infused with some otherworldly energy. Strange quartz crystals were allegedly found in the area, some inscribed with markings that defied identification. Were these relics of a celestial object, or something far more advanced? The absence of an impact crater only deepened the mystery. Without a crater, how could such destruction occur? Some speculated that the object exploded in the atmosphere before reaching the ground. But why? And why hasn't any definitive evidence, no fragments, no impact residue, ever been found? The villagers of Tunguska didn't have the answers. To them, the event was an act of the gods, a punishment or warning from above. But as the world searched for explanations, the puzzle of Tunguska only grew more complex, a web of clues that seemed to defy every logical conclusion. What kind of force could flatten a forest, ignite the sky, and leave no trace behind? Could it truly be a natural phenomenon? Or were those early witnesses unknowingly caught in the crossfire of something much larger, much stranger, and far more dangerous than we dare to imagine? What if the Tunguska explosion wasn't just a cosmic accident or a natural phenomenon? What if it was something deliberate, something extraterrestrial? For decades, whispers of alien involvement have swirled around this mystery, and when you start connecting the dots, the picture becomes far more unsettling. Consider this. In the weeks leading up to June 30, 1908, reports of strange lights and unidentified flying objects flooded in from Siberia. Witnesses described glowing orbs moving silently across the sky, pulsating with an otherworldly light. Some even claimed to hear a low hum or feel a strange vibration in the air. Were these the first signs of something arriving, or perhaps something already here? Now think about the explosion itself. The sheer power of the blast is unlike anything natural we've ever documented. An asteroid or a comet, as mainstream science would have us believe, doesn't behave this way. There was no crater, no debris field, no trace of any object that could have caused such destruction. But what if that's because the object wasn't a comet or asteroid at all? What if it was a spacecraft? A ship hurtling toward Earth, damaged and out of control, exploding in its final moments before impact. And what about the epicenter? The strange pattern of trees flattened outward, but the core of the blast left untouched. Some theorists suggest this could be evidence of advanced alien technology, a controlled explosion designed to minimize damage to the surrounding environment. Was this an accident or a deliberate act of restraint by an intelligent species? There's more. Explorers in the decades after the event claimed to have discovered unusual artifacts in the area. Quartz crystals with strange symbols etched into their surfaces, markings unlike anything known on Earth. Were these remnants of an alien craft? Or were they something left behind intentionally? Perhaps a message or even a warning? And then there are the magnetic anomalies that persist in Tunguska to this day. Could these be the scars of advanced propulsion systems, the lingering echoes of technology far beyond our comprehension? But here's the twist that changes everything. What if the Tunguska event wasn't an accident at all? Some researchers have proposed a chilling theory, that this was an act of alien intervention. Perhaps something was detected on Earth, something threatening or dangerous. Was this explosion a preemptive strike? A show of force meant to deter humanity from uncovering something we were never meant to find? Or could it have been a battle? Imagine for a moment two alien ships locked in conflict above the Siberian wilderness, their technology so advanced that even the fallout from their clash could devastate our planet. A firefight, a crash, an explosion, and then silence, leaving only questions in its wake. Skeptical? Consider this. The skies were eerily silent after the event. No more UFO sightings, no more strange lights. It was as if something had come and gone in an instant, leaving only destruction and mystery behind. Was Tunguska the site of humanity's first extraterrestrial encounter? One we weren't even aware of at the time? And if so, what does it mean for us now? Are we being watched, monitored, protected, or warned? What if the event wasn't isolated, but part of a larger pattern, one we're only beginning to piece together? Could the Tunguska explosion be the first recorded chapter in a story that's still unfolding? It's easy to dismiss these questions, to cling to the comfortable explanations that science offers. But when you look closely, at the evidence, at the anomalies, at the glaring gaps in the official story, one thing becomes clear. The Tunguska event doesn't just challenge our understanding of what happened that day. It challenges our understanding of our place in the universe. What if the answer to the Tunguska mystery doesn't lie in the stars, but in the mind of one man? A man so brilliant and so ahead of his time that even today, his inventions seem like science fiction. Nikola Tesla, the enigmatic inventor, whose work in wireless energy transmission has left the world in awe and confusion, may hold the key to understanding the Tunguska explosion. But was it genius or disaster that tied Tesla to this event? In 1908, Tesla was deep into his experiments with the Wardenclyffe Tower, a massive structure designed to transmit energy wirelessly across the globe. Imagine a world where electricity travels invisibly through the air, lighting up cities without wires, powering machines with no need for fuel. That was Tesla's dream. But dreams like these come with risks. Risks that, in the wrong circumstances, could spiral out of control. Tesla claimed that his technology had the potential to focus immense amounts of energy on a single point anywhere on Earth. Some referred to it as a death ray, capable of unimaginable destruction. Tesla himself hinted at its military applications, suggesting it could end wars by making nations invulnerable to attack. But what if, during one of his experiments, something went terribly wrong? Now think about this. The timeline fits. Tesla was conducting high-energy experiments in the months leading up to June 1908. Some documents even suggest he was attempting to send energy across vast distances as a demonstration of his technology's potential. But what if the energy didn't reach its intended destination? What if it was redirected, intercepted, or worse, amplified beyond control? Could the explosion in Tunguska have been Tesla's technology gone rogue, delivering a devastating blast to a remote corner of Siberia? Or perhaps it wasn't an accident at all. There are those who believe Tesla deliberately tested his technology in an uninhabited area, far from major cities, as a way to prove its power without causing mass casualties. Tunguska, with its vast, empty forests, would have been an ideal target, except Tesla may not have anticipated the full extent of the destruction his invention could unleash. And here's where the story takes an even darker turn. What if Tesla wasn't working alone? What if his work had drawn the attention of powerful governments or shadowy organizations looking to weaponize his discoveries? Tesla's notes were often cryptic, his true intentions veiled in secrecy. Some speculate that he was coerced, or even betrayed, by those who saw his genius as a means to their own ends. Could Tunguska have been a secret test of technology too dangerous to reveal to the public, a test whose catastrophic results had to be buried under the guise of a natural disaster? Tesla himself may have left us a clue. In his later years, he spoke of creating a superweapon that could protect nations by projecting a beam of energy over thousands of miles. He called it Teleforce. But what if this wasn't just an idea? What if Tunguska was the unintentional first use of such a device, its destructive power unleashed before the world was ready or willing to understand? After the explosion, Tesla grew increasingly paranoid. He claimed his lab was being raided, his patents stolen. Some say he knew the Tunguska event was tied to his work, that the destruction weighed on him for the rest of his life. Others suggest that Tesla's silence on the matter wasn't guilt, but fear. Fear of revealing a technology so dangerous it could change the course of human history forever. And maybe that's exactly what happened. After Tesla's death, many of his notes and papers disappeared, confiscated by the government. Officially, they were deemed irrelevant. But is it possible they contain the key to understanding what happened in Tunguska, and the technology that made it possible? If Tesla's work was responsible, it raises a chilling question. What else was he capable of? And if his discoveries fell into the wrong hands, what other events, what other disasters might trace their origins back to the brilliance and tragedy of Nikola Tesla? What if the Tunguska explosion wasn't the result of human ingenuity or extraterrestrial intervention, but something far stranger? Something that defies the boundaries of our understanding of space, time, and reality itself? Could the Tunguska event have been caused by a rift, a tear in the very fabric of existence, where our world collided with another? To the native Evenki people of Siberia, the explosion wasn't just an act of destruction. It was a sign. Their legend spoke of Agdi, a fiery god descending from the heavens to punish humanity. But what if those stories weren't just myths? What if they were fragments of a deeper truth, passed down through generations? A truth about forces that occasionally intrude upon our reality, leaving devastation in their wake. Modern scientists studying the Tunguska event have noted anomalies that go beyond the physical destruction of the forest. The magnetic field in the region remains disturbed to this day, as though the land itself was imprinted with an otherworldly energy. Could this be evidence of a dimensional rift, a temporary portal opening and unleashing a torrent of energy before collapsing in on itself? Imagine this: a collision between two dimensions, like tectonic plates shifting and grinding against each other. For a brief moment, an unimaginable amount of energy is released, enough to flatten forests, ignite the sky, and send shockwaves around the world. But when the rift closes, it leaves behind no trace of what caused it, only the devastation it wrought. Could this explain why there's no crater, no fragments, no tangible evidence of a traditional explosion? Eyewitnesses described a light in the sky that wasn't like any natural phenomenon. Some said it pulsed, others claimed it moved erratically, as though it were alive. What if this wasn't an object at all, but the visible manifestation of the rift itself, a window into another world? And what about the glowing night skies that followed, bright enough to illuminate cities across Europe? Could those eerie lights have been residual energy leaking from whatever breached our reality in Tunguska? But the most unsettling question is this: if a portal did open, what came through? Or what escaped? Local accounts tell of animals fleeing the area days before the explosion, as though sensing a disturbance in the air. Some reports even claim strange footprints were found near the epicenter in the weeks that followed. Prints too large, too unusual to belong to any known creature. Were these just coincidences, or was something left behind when the rift closed? The implications are staggering. If Tunguska was the site of a dimensional rift, it suggests that our universe isn't as stable as we'd like to believe. It suggests that the barriers between worlds can, and do, break down, even if only for a moment. And if it happened once, what's to stop it from happening again? Scientists today speculate about the possibility of multiverses, parallel dimensions, and hidden realms existing alongside our own. But what if the Tunguska event wasn't a theoretical anomaly? What if it was proof? Proof that these worlds occasionally overlap, creating events so powerful and bizarre that we struggle to explain them even a century later. And perhaps the most chilling thought of all, if a portal opened that day, was it an accident? Or was it triggered? Did someone or something tear that rift open on purpose, either to observe us or to reach us? And if they did, what was their intention? To warn us? To communicate? Or to escape something far worse? If Tunguska was a breach in reality, then it wasn't just an explosion. It was a message. But whether that message was meant for us, or for someone else, remains one of the greatest mysteries of all. If the Tunguska explosion was caused by something extraordinary, whether alien, experimental, or interdimensional, then why, over a century later, does it remain unsolved? Could it be that the answers are hidden not by chance, but by design? Is it possible that the Tunguska event was not just a mystery, but a cover-up? Let's start with the early expeditions. In 1927, nearly 2 decades after the explosion, Soviet scientist Leonid Kulik led the first major investigation into Tunguska. He expected to find an impact crater, meteorite fragments, something tangible to explain the devastation. But Kulik's reports described inexplicable delays, logistical obstacles, and peculiar resistance from local authorities. Some even claimed that key findings from the site, including strange samples collected by his team, were suppressed or disappeared entirely. Why? What could have been so dangerous, or so shocking, that it had to be hidden? Even more suspicious are the missing or destroyed records. Kulik's later expeditions uncovered evidence of lingering radiation in the region, a detail that was conveniently downplayed or ignored in official reports. Why would radiation, a hallmark of advanced energy weapons or nuclear experiments, be present in 1908, decades before the first known nuclear detonation? Could this have been an early test of a classified technology? Something humanity wasn't ready to know or control. And it's not just Soviet authorities that raise questions. Some theorists suggest that the Tunguska event might have been tied to international experiments or even covert collaboration between global powers. Could a secret energy project have gone catastrophically wrong, with governments scrambling to erase any trace of their involvement? Or worse, could the explosion have been a successful test, hidden in plain sight under the guise of an unexplainable natural disaster? The anomalies don't stop there. Rumors persist of shadowy expeditions to Tunguska long after Kulik's initial investigations. Teams of researchers, heavily guarded, reportedly scoured the site for years, removing materials and suppressing evidence. Some accounts even describe mysterious black-suited operatives overseeing the area, ensuring that nothing leaked to the public. Were these stories fabricated, or do they point to a deliberate effort to obscure the truth? If we look at the bigger picture, Tunguska fits an all-too-familiar pattern. Think of Roswell, Area 51, or the alleged suppression of free energy technologies. Time and again, extraordinary events are dismissed as accidents, hoaxes, or misunderstandings. But is this skepticism organic or manufactured? What if the Tunguska explosion wasn't the result of nature or cosmic chance, but of human hands, and those hands have worked tirelessly to keep the truth from us? Consider this. If Tunguska truly was a test of early energy weapons, what might that technology have evolved into over the past century? Some point to projects like HARP, designed to manipulate weather and atmospheric conditions, or the development of directed energy weapons capable of wreaking destruction on an unprecedented scale. Is it possible that Tunguska wasn't the last experiment of its kind, but the first? The evidence may be buried, the records erased, but one thing remains clear. Something in Tunguska defies explanation. And when the official story doesn't add up, we have to ask, who benefits from keeping the truth hidden? What might the governments of the world know about the forces that leveled the Siberian wilderness? And why are they so determined to keep us in the dark? For every theory about the Tunguska event, be it aliens, secret weapons, or interdimensional portals, there's a skeptic ready to dismiss it. The dominant explanation in mainstream science is simple. A meteoroid or a comet exploded in the atmosphere, creating a massive airburst. On the surface, this seems plausible. After all, space debris enters Earth's atmosphere regularly, burning up harmlessly or occasionally causing small impacts. But does this explanation really hold up to scrutiny? The first problem with the airburst theory is the complete lack of physical evidence. A meteor explosion powerful enough to flatten 80 million trees should have left something behind, fragments of the object, traces of extraterrestrial materials, or at least an impact crater. Yet none of these were ever found, even after decades of searching. Supporters of the meteoroid theory argue that the object was made of ice, like a comet, and vaporized entirely on impact. But if that's true, why were there no residual traces in the soil, no chemical markers to confirm its presence? Then there's the scale of the destruction. The explosion released energy equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, orders of magnitude greater than any meteorite impact ever documented. Skeptics claim this was simply an unusually large object, but the destruction pattern raises questions. Why were trees at the epicenter left standing but stripped of their branches and bark? Why did the blast level everything outward in a perfect radial pattern? Natural events rarely display such surgical precision. Skeptics also point to atmospheric phenomena, claiming that the glowing skies over Europe were caused by ice particles scattering sunlight. But this explanation feels overly convenient. These glowing skies persisted for weeks, far longer than any typical atmospheric disturbance. And how do we reconcile the simultaneous reports of magnetic anomalies, radiation, and unusual wildlife behavior before and after the event? These are not hallmarks of a simple airburst. Some scientists suggest alternative natural explanations, such as a release of underground methane gas ignited by a lightning strike. But this theory falls apart when faced with the magnitude of the explosion. Methane explosions, while destructive, could never produce the global-scale shockwaves and seismic activity Tunguska unleashed. And here's the thing. Skeptics often downplay the most compelling anomalies, the lingering magnetic disturbances, the accounts of animals fleeing the area days before the blast, the eerie precision of the tree patterns, and the strange absence of traditional fire damage. If the airburst theory is so solid, why do these inconsistencies persist? Why do so many questions remain unanswered? The pushback against more extraordinary explanations is often framed as scientific, but is it possible that this dismissal is driven by something else? Perhaps an unwillingness to confront the idea that we don't fully understand what happened in Tunguska, or that the event may challenge the very foundations of our understanding of the universe. It's far easier to label the unknown as natural than to admit we don't have all the answers. Even if we entertain the skeptical explanations, they don't erase the anomalies. They don't explain the gaps in the evidence or the patterns that don't fit the neat narrative of a comet or meteoroid. And that, in itself, is suspicious. If the event truly had a straightforward natural cause, why does it remain such a profound enigma? Why does it still feel like we're being told only part of the story? In the end, skepticism isn't just about questioning the wild theories. It's also about questioning the safe ones. Because sometimes, the simplest explanation isn't the right one. And when we dig deeper, we find that the truth, whatever it may be, refuses to be boxed into neat categories. It defies skepticism as much as it defies belief. The Tunguska explosion remains one of the most baffling events in modern history. Over a century later, it continues to elude explanation, defying every attempt to pin it down as mere coincidence or natural disaster. Theories abound, each one more compelling, more provocative, and more unsettling than the last. Was it a meteoroid, as mainstream science insists? Or does the truth lie hidden in the shadows of more extraordinary possibilities? Think about the anomalies we've uncovered. The blinding flash in the sky. The radial pattern of destruction, leaving trees at the epicenter eerily standing. The glowing night skies, magnetic disturbances, and radiation lingering for years. None of these fit neatly into the story we're told. A cosmic rock vaporizing in the atmosphere. And then there are the whispers of alien intervention, Nikola Tesla's experiments, and the idea of forces far beyond our understanding, forces capable of tearing through dimensions or unleashing unimaginable power. What if Tunguska wasn't just an accident but a message? A warning, perhaps, from beings who saw something in us we were not ready to see in ourselves. Or could it have been an unintended consequence of human ambition, a brilliant mind reaching too far, too soon, and setting off a chain reaction no one could control? And if it was the result of secret experiments or advanced technologies, then what other discoveries are being kept from us, hidden behind closed doors and classified files? But maybe the most haunting possibility is that Tunguska was neither natural nor deliberate, that it was something we still don't have the language to describe, an event that lies beyond the boundaries of science and reason. A rupture in reality itself, a brief and terrifying glimpse of forces that exist outside our perception. In the end, the true significance of Tunguska may not be in what caused it, but in what it reveals about us. Our relentless drive to understand, to question, to uncover the unknown. Our willingness to challenge the official story and explore even the most outlandish possibilities. Tunguska isn't just a mystery, it's a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and highest aspirations. Was the explosion an act of nature? A cosmic accident? A hidden experiment? Or something far more profound? We may never know for sure. But one thing is clear. Tunguska is a reminder that the universe is full of secrets. Secrets that refuse to be silenced, that call to us from the edges of what we know, daring us to look deeper. And so the Tunguska mystery lives on, not as a closed chapter, but as an open question. A challenge to every assumption we hold about the world, the universe, and our place within it. What truly happened that morning in 1908? Perhaps one day we'll find the answer. Or perhaps the answer is something we're not ready to face.